Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Viewers Club. My name is Lucas.
My name is Tess.
And my name is Megan.
Yay! And we are here to talk about Attack on Titan as we do another Season 1 or Done. Now, before we get started, there are a couple things that I just wanted to clarify. First, I'm a manga reader and I'm all caught up with the anime, but we'll only be talking about Attack on Titan Season 1 for this episode, so spoiler warning for that season only.
I sure hope
Yes.
so, because I have not seen Season 2 yet.
Cool, good.
Same.
There's so much in store. If you guys are confused about anything, I'll just provide context without going into the next season, if you want. And then secondly, some of you guys on the internet, I don't know if you guys have heard about this. This just happened last week. There was an earthquake in the Wakayama prefecture of Japan last Sunday, and that interfered with the Attack on Titan broadcast. So I just wanted to take a moment to say I hope everyone's doing all right and recovering safely from that. It looks like the season is still on track, but I hope everyone's doing okay. And I really want to say that I appreciate Mappa Studio for taking on the task of Attack on Titan. It was a big task, and they've done a fantastic job with it. So, Attack on Titan's coming to an end, both anime and manga. The final episode of the final season is going to be this upcoming Sunday, or the Sunday you're listening to this, viewers, because of how we edit it. And the manga's coming to an end in
That's the
April.
goal.
So this is not a bad time to get into this show, so you can binge everything. So before I get started and ask the big question, I have a different opening question that I want to ask you guys, because all of my friends that have watched this, it's weird because on the internet I see everywhere oh my gosh, Attack on Titan, yes, I love it. And I get a lot of people really love this show. But when I talk to my friends, they all don't like this show. And I'm like, how can this many people that I know not like this? And they all have said that the main reason is they don't like Eren. So I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on Eren as a character and as a protagonist?
He's kind of a whiny bitch.
Yes, okay, cool.
He's very whiny. I
very
agree.
much.
Yeah. Very whiny. I don't know. I kind of don't watch the show for that character as much as just the storyline. He's very whiny. Poor guy.
Yeah, it's a bit like Luke Skywalker, but angrier.
Yes.
Not Luke, Anakin.
Anakin, yes, he's more like Anakin.
Get your Skywalkers correct.
gosh.
Yes, Luke is whiny, but not as whiny as Anakin.
Anakin's like an angry whiny. He's angsty. Angsty Anakin.
Angsty whiner.
Yeah, that's and I'm glad you said that, Tessa, because I 100% agree. I don't watch the show for Eren. I watch it to see the story, and it's because I think it's interesting to see his character in that story. But I thought it was interesting because a lot of them were like, oh, I just can't relate to his character, so I can't watch it. And I'm like, I can't. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. There are a lot of shows that I watch where I don't relate to the main character, but it's still an interesting story. So just thought that was interesting, and I wanted to see what you guys thought about that. But next question, and this is the big question. What was your overall impression of the story? Did you enjoy it, find it interesting, tone, pace? I'm going to leave it up to you guys, open to discussion on those topics of the story.
Story-wise, I will say this isn't usually the type of anime I go for regularly. That being said, I really enjoyed a lot of the concepts that they were able to execute. I liked the idea of humans being trapped by monsters and the fear of that those monsters have, but also kind of this weird almost toxic determination these humans have. It's very interesting. I as far as story goes, I really enjoy it. But yeah, I think Aaron makes it kind of hard to watch for me. He doesn't really, at least in this first season, has no real arc. He kind of stays the same the entire time. And at some point, you gotta be like, dude, you gotta start using your brain just a little bit more than you are right now, because you're getting people killed. But
he definitely just gets angry.
As far as like the overall, as far as the overall story goes, I really, really enjoy it. As far as like character stories go, it's very specific on just a few characters. So it's like, it really depends on which character you're asking about.
Gotcha.
So, but overall big story plot line of like the whole Titans eating people for a nice snack. I really enjoy it. I think it's a really good story. It's really original.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Tess?
Yeah. So going off of that, also from my perspective too, because I believe Your Line April and Attack on Titan were like the first two anime that I saw like at the same time. Completely different styles. Yep.
I mean, they're basically the same.
I get them confused all the time.
Yeah, I mean, sad glasses, Aaron. I mean, what's the difference?
Same thing. No, but Attack on Titan, I really, really like the story concept that they have in the plot and where it's going. I'm excited to see what else happens. But yes, it's a very different pacing from slice of life anime.
Definitely. And I think it's definitely not I would say, like your conventional anime, in that, like, it still does some of the same tropes. Like, all right, physics doesn't necessarily work like that.
What?
And like, and like you can hear the character's thoughts, but like as far as in a dark, it's very much, it's in that genre of like sort of the dark fantasy anime where, all right, you have some of the same tropes, but they try and explore a lot of darker themes, and I like the tone of the series and how they maintain it with everything. Yeah, so Megan, you were talking about characters and specific character development and stuff, which ones that you found interesting. So that brings me to the next question. Are there any character backgrounds, or character arcs that you liked, appreciated, or enjoyed how they were executed?
So many. Two. There are two.
Gotcha.
They're virtually the same person, and I love them so much. As far as anime goes, you guys should know what my favorite anime character type is: the strong silent type.
All right.
Because they're the most like well-rounded and in reality.
I wonder
I
who you're gonna talk about. I wonder.
There are two. There's just two.
No idea.
I absolutely adore Mikasa because she's the one who grounds Eren back into reality. She's very she has her trauma, and you see that, and we're introduced to that. And she composes trauma very differently, but I still think that she's the only reason Eren is still alive.
100%.
Yes, absolutely.
I adore her because she's very much a strong, independent character who holds her own, and even though this might not be 100% what she wanted to do with her life, she still gives it her all, and I love that. And then, of course, my boy, my favorite. Everyone knows who I'm talking about. I love Levi. He was my favorite character the first time I watched this show. And it's just because he doesn't give a shit about what you're feeling right now. He's another character who really grounds everybody else into the reality of the situation. Sure. He's he compartmentalizes very differently. I don't know why I'm drawn to these strong, silent type characters. I think it's because most of the other characters, specifically Eren, that whiny bitch, is so angry and so temperamental, and it's so not fun to watch. So I love watching him get his ass kicked by these two characters in particular, because they're like, why don't you shut up, you whiny bitch.
You gotta
like,
calm.
yes.
You're here. I need you to be right here, and here's how I'm gonna take you there. I'm gonna kick the shit out of you.
So, yeah. And then if we're going for somebody who's a little bit more well-rounded, I think I'd have to go with Armin. I think that he's a very essential character, because he's the balance between the two sides of, like, Eren being angry and unpredictable, and Mikasa and Levi being very, tactical and reserved, and Armin is that in between that I think is like a good healthy in between for the most part. Agreed. So that's kind of like where I'm at with characters anyway.
Nice. Oh yeah. How about you, Tess?
Yeah. So I have to agree. Mikasa's definitely my favorite character out of the show. I think runner up would be Armin as well. Very well rounded in an essential character. Sorry, Eren, not my favorite character.
I totally understand.
But I mean, yeah.
I don't think he's anyone's favorite character. I really don't know a single person who's like, Eren's my favorite character.
Yeah, he's definitely just, like you said, Megan, there's not much of an arc. It's kind of like there's a lot of you're kind of like, a lot of stuff happens to him, and it just kind of makes him angrier. And so you kind of are like, all right, like, I'm hoping something starts chipping away at you. But I agree.
He's like he starts off as an angry boy, and then he just gets angrier, and it's like, that's not an arc. It's just not.
Yeah. But I agree. Mikasa and Armin are my, those were my favorite characters for season 1, definitely. They're just so, just basically everything you guys said. They're so great on their own, and I like how they complement Eren and each other. When me and my dad were watching the show for the first time, we watched it up until before Levi got introduced, and we were just like, Mikasa's a badass. Like, who could ever top Mikasa? Like, who could ever beat Mikasa in terms of, like, soldier-wise? And we didn't want to believe that there was anybody close to Mikasa at all in terms of, like,
my boy
strength.
Shows up.
Like, we were like, nah, Mikasa's got it. So yeah, those two, top two. I love them so much. But yeah, I like how there's the characters feel very real. And they feel, it starts to feel, I think, as the show goes on, of more of an ensemble cast, where you're really exploring, like, the character and inner thoughts of these different characters. And this isn't necessarily a good segue into the next one. But as well as there are a lot of good characters, there's also a lot of really great moments and really great kind of shocking moments that change everything. And so I just wanted to ask, what were some of your most favorite moments in the show, or, like, most shocking moments for you, even least favorite moments, like, just basically moments that really stood out to you, like, oh, I see, because there's a lot.
So many.
There's a lot.
I think the most obvious one, and this is when I watched the series, like, a long, long time ago. It wasn't as shocking as it was when I recently rewatched it. The big ones are when we find out that people are these super titans.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
When Eren turns into the Titan, that was like, what the fuck just happened? And then, what was her name? The other Annie. When Annie is the Titan, was kind of less surprising, because her Titan really looked like her. But at the same time, it was still like, oh shit. So there are more people who are Titans. And so now we're stuck with this question of, like, wait, why are people Titans? And wait, why are they not, like, Eren helping the rest of the people, you know? So it's like, it was... Everybody. Exactly. So that was, like, I think that's probably the most obvious and choice to go for, but I still really enjoy it.
Yeah. Definitely.
I'd have to agree with that. That was the most surprising. I'm like, what? They're humans?
Oh, man. Yeah. That,
crazy.
When it was funny because when I first watched the show, I predicted that Aaron was the Titan that showed up and like started killing the other Titans. I was like, that's Aaron, right? But I didn't predict that Annie was the Titan. Like, that just never crossed my mind. And then when they showed her, I was
how
like,
it was the reverse.
What? So I
like how it was reverse for us. I didn't realize that Titan was Aaron, and then I'm like, that one has to be Annie then.
Yeah, it's my brain is backwards. But yeah, a lot of shocking moments, and it's interesting because a lot of people, for the first season especially, they thought that the first season banked too much on shocking moments rather than actual story development and rather than how it actually helped the season. Now, I disagree with that, but I wanted to also see what you guys thought about that. Because it's, I get that there are a lot of shocking moments, but I think that they helped advance the story and that they helped with a lot of the character development with the story. So I thought that it was interesting that people were like, there were just too many shocking things that and I'm like, well, yeah, it's a shocking story.
I think for me, it comes down to starting to predict when or what is going to be a shocking moment. I understand that some of those, the majority of those shocking moments were there to advance the plot and advance the story. I kind of see where those people are coming from, because at the same time I started predicting what was going to be, what was real, what wasn't real. And that kind of gets annoying a little bit, because the whole point of a shocking moment is you don't see it coming. But when they do so many all the time, you're sitting there like, I can't trust any of this story when I need to have at least a little trust in something. You know what I mean?
It's a good point.
Exactly.
I can understand that.
Yeah, so that's kind of like where I stand. I don't hate them.
There were a lot.
I kind of was like, I started predicting them, and that is when it gets boring for me, is when I'm like, I don't know what the twist is going to be, but there's a twist in this. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah, well, with that, I kind of wanted to open up the discussion to talk about different elements of the production. And it's kind of weird because it's animated, but there's still a lot of different elements to that animation that like lighting and music and how, and as well as background and animation and how that lends to the tone. So I just wanted to kind of open it up to see if there was anything specific that you guys wanted to talk about.
I think for me, sound design was incredible, and I'll let you speak more on that, Megan. But for me, I think it was more of like the art, like the colors, and it was more so realistic in a way, or had more like realism in their art choices than obviously like Slice of Life, where it's all beautiful and fluffy puppies and sparkles. But yeah, so
there were no chibi moments in Attack on Titan.
Yeah, no,
there was not.
That'd be so weird.
Never do that.
Never do that, please.
Ever.
It would make it really creepy.
just imagining it turning into a slice of life comedy. Where
the
Titans start cheating.
Have you guys seen Attack on Titan Junior High? Like, have you heard of that?
No.
That's literally, it's literally Attack on Titan chibi. Like, all of it. They made it specifically for that. Oh my gosh.
We have to watch that
I don't know if you guys know this, but the idea of Attack on Titan having chibis in it is the equivalent to Resident Evil 7 having these side quest games where you have to feed, where it's like a birthday party and you have to feed the father of the game. People who know the game will know what I'm talking about, but it's the equivalent of that. Oh gosh. It's just like, random and funny, and it does not fit. Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Oh
man.
I'm sorry. Megan, Tessa, what were you guys?
Megan, go ahead.
Sound design. Man. Animation in general, any form of it, whether it's like 3D animation, 2D animation, or anime, relies heavily on sound. But I don't think I've seen an anime that has relied so much on sound design as Attack on Titan. And that is not a bad thing. It's actually a really, really good thing.
Yeah.
narrowing in on what sounds, what tools, that the tools or their armor or whatever makes is so well done, up to the fact that when they walk, you hear the clanking of their swords and their armor and stuff around their legs. It's like, it is so well thought out, and it's so well done, and it's just, it blows my mind every time I watch it, because I'm like, this is the level that live action movies go to get sound, and sometimes they don't even get that good of sound. You know, I don't watch the Avengers, and I'm like, man, that sound design's killer. You know, I don't think of that, but like when I watch this anime in particular, I'm always like, this sound that they chose for everything was so perfect and well thought out, and I just really, really enjoyed the sound design for it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I like how the ODM gear that they use, like that sound is so iconic. You hear it and you're like, oh, okay, I know what's happening. I also wanted to point out the music. We talked about it a bit in our reaction. I love the music for this series.
Yes.
And it's funny because it's so... I feel like they use the music a lot. There are scenes where they don't use it, and it's really great. I love it. You know, I love it when not just anime, but in general, when in film and TV, when they don't use music to help with the tone. But with this show, I not only do I love the way it sounds, but I love how it marries so good with the tone of that scene. And also how it's like basically orchestral, but it doesn't feel overpowering. It lifts the scene into that adrenaline or into that state that it's supposed to be in, which generally I feel like you have music that's overused and then it kind of like replaces the feeling. But this definitely, I felt like, carried the scene into into what it was supposed to be, which I really appreciated. And also kind of touched on what Tessa talked about when she was talking about the how the animation, it's very realistic, and how it's, you know, very, very different from Slice of Life, Your Lie in April. I like that it's got its own personal beauty, if that makes sense. Like, it's got its own type of, even though it's really gritty and their time, you know, it gets really intense. I really like how it has its own beauty to it, especially the eyes. I love the way they do eyes in this series. But I like that, and I love the way they do lighting. And I think that kind of mimics what Mikasa says in her, like, in the beginning of the season, her backstory episode, where she says the world is cruel, but it's also beautiful. I really like how I feel like the animation really mimics that. So yeah, well, that brings me to my final question, guys. Is this a season 1 or done? Would you continue watching?
Yes, I would definitely continue watching.
Tell me where I can watch season 2, and I am on the way, you know.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I'm so happy. So on Netflix Netflix only has season 1, right?
Yeah, that's the only season it has.
So weird. Well, I believe you can watch season 2 and season 3 for free with ads on Crunchyroll. But season 4, you should be able to watch that. I'm gonna say like within the year, when they start to like wrap it up, it'll probably become available. But season 2 and 3 are available on Crunchyroll, and I'm sure other platforms as well. This is one of my favorite animes and favorite shows ever, so I'm really glad that we were able to talk about this and that you guys liked it. So thank you guys so much for talking about this with me. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys that are watching enjoyed it. Please let us know in the comments whether or not you guys like Attack on Titan Season 1, and if you have seen that, whether or not that was like, whether or not you continued watching, whether or not that was enough for you, whether or not you like Aaron, how you feel about him. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. This has been the Viewers Club. My name is Lucas.
My name is Tess.
And my name is Megan.
Have a good, everybody.
Have a good.
Have a good. Watch out for them Titans,
Watch out
boys.
for them freaking Titans, please. Oh my gosh, guys! Did you also just jam out to the first season opening? Like,
yes.
Is it not the most hyped
Oh my gosh,
thing you've
it's so
ever heard?
good.
Oh my gosh, I'm a little.
I'm sorry. I introduced Tessa to Oron High School host club. I think that intro has your intro.
You know what?
beat.
You're 100% right.
Yep.